So let's switch now over to human design. And nope, that's the wrong chart. Da, 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 da. There we go. That's the one I want. And let's take a look at the same things, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter, and the Sun and Earth also, for the weekend ahead. So on June 8th, the Sun and the Earth will move from the gates 35 and 5 into the gates 45 and 26. So the Sun is going to be in the gate 45, and the gate 45 sits here on the throat center. Remember when we talked about all the gates of Gemini, and the gates of Gemini being mostly on the throat center, right? So here we have another throat center gate, which means it's energy of communication, but also manifesting, right? It's pushing out of us, coming up from the lower reaches of the human design chart and out through the throat center, also down from the heads and head and ajna centers and out through the throat center. And the gate 45 in quantum human design is called the gate of distribution. And it is literally a gate of distribution of resources, sharing resources and leading with generosity. And in its highest expression, this particular gate moves from personal power or domination in the lower expression of the gene keys to community empowerment, which is in Richard Rudd's words, synergy, right? Where we're together we energize, right? Together energy. And then moving ultimately to communion energy in the highest expression of the gene keys, which is a harmonious sharing in service to the whole, right? Where we are all sharing in the bounty of this particular energy. Now, this week, consider how you can be a wise steward of your own resources and resources, whether it's time or knowledge or finances, right? All of your resources, your energy, right? Are you leading from fear or control, or do you trust in collaboration with others? This is a very collaborative kind of energy. Now, the Earth is interesting in this because when the Sun is in the gate 45, the Earth is in the gate 26. And the gate 26 is called integrity. So now we're aligning with truth, right? Our will, our actions, our voices are all needing to become aligned with truth. And it's about refining your message, whatever that is, and to whomever it is, so that it's not manipulative or prideful, but it's rooted in integrity and in quiet power. So the two of these together really are about staying true to yourself. Like, notice where you might be selling yourself short or giving yourself away or overcompensating in some way. Integrity is kind of magnetic energy. It doesn't really need to shout. It's you being you, right? It's you living from your center space, from your center. At the same time, all of this other changes, Venus and Mercury and Jupiter, let's take a look at the gates that they're sitting in. So Venus enters Taurus into the gate 3. It's actually been sitting in the gate 3 because 3 kind of envelops the end of Aries energy and the beginning of Taurus energy. And the gate is called innovation. So you already know this is an energy that's future focused, right? That's looking ahead. And the gene key, lower energy of this gate is chaos. And chaos because anytime we start something new, notice anytime you've made a decision, a new, like, I'm going to step forward and I'm going to do this new thing, what happens, right? Chaos envelops, right? Starts kind of taking over your life for a bit. And then it leads to innovation. And then ultimately, it leads to innocence in the highest expression of the gene keys. So the essence of the gate 3 and Venus sitting at the gate 3, which by the way sits on the sacral center down here, second center up from the bottom, is about finding order in chaos. And Venus here brings a creative spark to what you love and what you value, and maybe even, helps you to see, pull out of that chaos what is most meaningful for you, right? What is most in your mind, most important. So embrace fresh ways of expressing beauty and sensuality here. Let your love life and your finances be inspired by innovation, not stuck in old patterns. Do something new, right? If you're someone who never has brought your wife flowers, it's time to do that, right? It's time to take care of yourself, even. Maybe you've never bought yourself flowers. It's time to do that, right? Setting a step forward innovatively. Now, Mercury and Jupiter, they are both entering into Cancer, ending their Gemini transit and starting their Cancer transit in the gate 15, which is on the diamond center, the identity center, right central to the human design chart, which we often say is the seat of the soul. And the essence of the gate 15 teaches us to honor all the rhythms of life from the extremes to the calm. And also, it's the key to compassion, where holding space for the entire range of human experiences for ourselves, but also for others, right? It's the bond of human compassion. Now, Mercury in this gate 15 means to have us let our words touch something soft and inclusive within us and reach those words out to others, weaving in sort of the full spectrum of your emotional intelligence, right? Being soft and caring and compassionate and tolerant and accepting and inclusive in your language, right? Jupiter here at the gate 15. Jupiter will be at the 15 until I think it was the end of this month when he moves into 52. Yeah, so Jupiter is here from June 2nd all the way through the 26th. On the 27th, he'll move into the new gate. But Jupiter here this is the journey that begins of expanding our compassion, right? Starting here in this gate. It's about honoring your own self and honoring others' unique rhythms and experiences and life journey and creating harmony in the midst of chaos, right? The midst of all of these changing planets. So the big energies, the big themes as we roll out of this week and into the next week are about synergy and compassion. The sun in the gate 45 and Mercury and Jupiter in the gate 15 really highlight this powerful dance, sharing your light generously with others while staying rooted in compassion and taking care of your own self. So, nurturing your own self so that you have the energy and the time and the resources to help others. So, it's a time for building bridges, not walls, right? 15 energy is very powerful this way. It is a theme. There's a theme around integrity and innovation as well. The Earth in the gate 26 reminding us that your word and actions matter, right? Those things that you put out, the things that you say are important. And then Venus in the gate 3, down here in the sacral center, offers a fresh burst of creativity and creative energy that can become something new, right? Finding new ways to live your truth without compromising your authenticity. That would be a great message for us to take away from Venus in Taurus and Venus in the gate 3. And then there's also emotional depth and this softer side with Mercury and Jupiter both moving into Cancer. There's a more open, intuitive heart and maybe heart centered conversations, right, that are very open from the heart, sharing. Right, so feelings matter now. Your feelings and other people's feelings matter. So let them guide your decisions. Right, you guys that are emotionally defined in your human design know this energy, right? Because you're emotionally broadcasting all the time. But for those of you who have an open emotional center, meaning it would be white like it is here, on the lower right side of this chart is an open solar plexus or emotional center. And if you have an open emotional center, you're taking in emotions from everyone around you, right? From the bigger, wider world. And you're never quite sure whose feelings you're feeling. And now, with emotional energy being very focused in and dialed in for the next year, learning about your world and how to work with emotional energy becomes very important, right? Okay. Questions about human design, questions about your human design. Hi, Kiki. It's good to see you out there. And all right. So I'll wait for a moment for your questions. In the meantime, let me give you some reflective questions to chew on for the weekend. Where in your life do you feel called to distribute your resources, but doing so with more trust and generosity? Where do you feel the need to be more generous? Where do you need to be less generous? Is another a corollary to that, right? Where is it that you've maybe been hemorrhaging resources or time or your energy and need to pull it back so that you have enough for the things that are here for you to do? Then, how can you embody more integrity in your words and your actions this week? You know, the word integrity has a lot of different meanings, I think, to different people. I always think of integrity as being within your own skin, being within your own truth and acting and talking from that space rather than trying to be something for someone else, right? You know, in a way, what that does is dims your light and kind of weakens your willpower because the 26 actually sits on the ego will center, heart center in human design. So integrity really is that call to align with your true self, right? Being authentic. And in a mundane sort of sense, the gate 26 is the closer of a sale, right? This is this in if we step back and we look at it in a wider view, like the camera view gets very wide, this is kind of the energy of where the sale comes to a close because the salesperson is either, you know, telling you the truth or they've lied to you. So it can become exposed here. The untruths can become exposed as you drive away in that car and it breaks down on the road on the way home. But the salesman told you it was perfect, right? um, but also watching the things that you are engaged with. How are you in your integrity or out of your integrity? And by the way, this isn't moralistic energy either. This is not, you know, doing things because society dictates it to you or your religion dictates it to you or your family dictates it. It is about being true to yourself, right? Doing what you desire and being who you want to be. Maybe that's more important than the doing. It's the being who it is that you want to be, what really resonates with your truth. And then, last question, are you ready to innovate in your relationships, in your finances, in your creative world? What are you ready to innovate, to think outside of the box, to do things differently, right? That is a great question because some of us are ready and others are not, right? Sometimes even I'm holding back. And how can you hold compassion for the full range of human experiences, including your own highs and your own lows, right? Because that we, as humans, we experience this whole gamut of emotional energy, of the energy of compassion, people experiencing the highs and lows of their lives, right? Even here, just in this show, we might think that Kamal is experiencing a low right now, right? As he's not worked for 2 months or hasn't had a job for 2 months. It's the compassion within each of us that we can hold space for understanding of that situation and the hope and the love that we can pour out that Kamal finds something that will feel good to him in terms of work. And you know, we extend that all the time into the world when there are calamities and the big things, you know, a tornado devastating a town, something, you know, that happens, a flood that carries away people's homes. We have compassion, right? This just reminds us to have compassion all the time, right? We don't have to just only have compassion in the time of, you know, catastrophes. We can have compassion for one another all the time, as well as having compassion for ourselves all the time, right?